Continuing on from my beanie video, we're doing more stripes, so stay tuned. For this project I'm using this violet make yarn. It's an Aran weight in a lovely wine colour, and I'm going to team it with this Aldi So Crafty yarn in a nice rich yellowy mustardy colour. And these are what the colours will look like together. I showed them to you in the video for the beanie, and I loved them so much I thought I had to do a project with them, so why not do a headband? And if you've not seen the video for the beanie in this stripe pattern, pop along in the video link up there and you can check it out for yourself and maybe make one as well, because it's reversible. You're going to need a scissors, a crochet hook and a tapestry needle. You're also going to need some waste yarn for casting on and casting off, so choose something that's a nice contrasting colour so it's easy to see the stitches. So for our project we're going to cast on with our waste yarn, over and under, all the way around the machine, into the yarn feeder, and I'm going to be using the centre tension hole for mine, and we're going to knit about 6 rows is my go-to. And there's our waste yarn cast on. So now we need to choose which colour we are going to start our work with, and I'm going to begin with the red colour, and this one is a centre pull, so that's going to be really handy, but I do recommend that you cake your yarn up for this project. It can get a little bit fiddly if you don't, but that doesn't mean it's not doable. And I'm going to do 8 rows because I'm looking to have a little starburst effect in the centre of my headband. So let's add our yarn. Middle tension hole for me on this 40 pin machine. And I'm going to do 8 rows. And there's our 8 rows done. So what we need to do now is to change over to our other colour, and I'm using a yellow. Now what we don't do with this kind of row knitting is we do not cut any of our yarn at all, okay? We are going to be doing a looping method. So what we're going to do is to pop our existing colour into the centre of the machine out of the way, making sure that no loops are hanging around across the top of the machine there. Okay, and we are going to alternate our colours. So I'm going to put the yellow in, like that. Centre tension hole, or you can hand tension if you prefer. And this tail will be gathered in at the end, so don't worry about that. And we're just going to do 1 row. Okay, 1 row all the way around. Back to the beginning, and my machine is creaking like anything. So now what we do is we take our yarn out, bring our red back and any tails that you've got there, and pop the yellow back in. And what we're going to do is to loop that under our first needle, whatever machine you're using, because this pattern can be used on any size machine that you want to make a headband on. There's no adaptations at all. What we're going to do is leave our yellow tail hanging down there and just continue with our red for 1 row. 1 row all the way around to the beginning. Oh, creaky. And then take our yarn out, bring our second colour out, and pop our first colour in, yarn under needle 1, through the yarn feeder, through centre hole, and 1 row. And that's it for the whole 90 rows that I'm going to be doing for my headband. Okay, 90 rows is what I'm going to do for an adult headband here. Pop the old colour in, join the new one in under our first needle, because I cranked a little too far forward then, I got too excited. And we are going to continue with the red for one row. So this is what you're going to do for the whole 90 rows. I'll do a few more rows now and then I'll carry on and finish the project. And then we'll need to cast off with some more waste yarn. So take the one colour out that you're using, bring the other colour out that you want to use, thread that under your first needle, because like me you may crank forward a little bit with exuberance, and then we can knit one row in our other colour. There we go. Old yarn into the centre, current yarn outside. And there you can see the stripes are starting to form already on our work, and that's the way it will look all the way around our machine. So I'm taking the red out, swapping back to my yellow, feeding my yellow under needle 1, because this project always starts at needle 1 for every row, and just knit alternating colours like that. So I'll finish the project now and I'll meet you back at 90 rows to do the waste yarn and a cast off. So I've just come up to my row 82 and I'm going to finish off with a matching 8 rows at the end to bring it up to 90 rows. And because I finished on a red, I'm going to trim that now so I've got something that my yellow tail can tie onto. Otherwise that's going to be dangling there with nothing to do. So I'm going to pull that yarn through there like that and leave a tail. Not the sharpest scissors, girl. And then I'm going to rethread my yarn and then I'm going to continue with my 8 rows like that. Center tensioner, and I'm going to crank now until I get to row 90, and then I'll change over to waste yarn, do 6 rows and let the work then fall off my machine. And I've got a center pull on my red yarn here which is catching every now and again, so I have to release that. So there we are, there's row 90 and I'm job done. So all I need to do now is to cut a relatively long tail because we're going to need some length in order to stitch our headband together. So I'm going to pop that long tail in there like that. I can remove my yellow because I don't need that anymore. It's done its job, and I need to find a little bit of waste yarn now to cast off. And I've got a nice contrasting green colour here. So I'm going to take my red yarn out and thread my green through. And I'm going to cast off then with 6 rows, sorry. But you can do more if you want to. So 1, 2, 3, 5, and I'm going to probably just crank until this screen finishes, which will probably be the next row. Hopefully it'll go that far. Oh, it's always a worry, isn't it? So pop that out of there now and just crank until your work falls off the machine, which is 2 rounds. And there it comes, off the machine. So we need to stretch our work, and let me lift it up so you can see. Oh, look at that. Isn't that lovely? And it's quite Christmassy. I think if you made one up for Christmas, you wouldn't go far wrong if you mix maybe the red with a white or possibly a green. And in all honesty, and I'm going to be totally transparent with this, I did have a little drop stitch issue there, but I'm going to hide that at the back of it. Okay, so we all get them from time to time, and I hadn't noticed at the time, so I did a bit of a rush repair there just to finish the video, so you can see how to do this for yourself. Is the most important thing, with no drop stitches. Okay, right, so there's our cast on. A little bit of yellow there, so we need to tie that in later. Probably just thread it in. Right, so let's pull that long end through there first, and let's tie our colour joins together, because we've got 3, if you remember. Let's just tie that together, make sure it looks tidy on the other side. Yeah, that looks nice. So 2 knots, and I'm going to tie that red one together just as well, just to make doubly sure. So there's a little knotty effort there, so we can trim those now. A couple of centimeters will do. So with our sealing off a tube, if you know how to seal off a tube, then you can skip forward, because you already know what to do. But this is what I do. Tuck that tail in there. Is I like to put my tails on the far left side of my work. Now you can count down stitches if you want to, if that helps you. I don't necessarily do that. I just line it up so that I've got 2 stitches there all the way down. It's kind of self-counting really, until you end up with 2 stitches on the end there, and they're the 2 stitches we're going to start with. Now, because by the time you get to the end, these stitches will sometimes disappear. Okay, they kind of, I don't know, they just disappear. So we need to put some kind of holding hook in there, and I've got a couple of stitch markers here. So find your first red, or whatever colour you've chosen. Of course it's going to be a different colour to mine. You might have gone with green and blue, or orange and pink, whatever. So mark those 2, and they're going to be the last 2 that we thread through our work. Let's pop them out of the way, and we need to grab our crochet hook then. So with these first 2 here on the left, push through 1 stitch and push through the other stitch. So you've got 2 stitches on the hook, and pull the 1 stitch through the other, and that's how you start. And then you go from the top to the bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, all the way down the row, catching every stitch. Count them if you want to make sure that you've got them all, because as you work your way down it does get a little bit tighter. Okay, so work your way all the way down, picking up each of those red stitches, or whatever colour you've chosen as your lead colour. And I use 2 fingers for this. I can't for the life of me seem to do it without pulling through with 1 finger. I am getting better at crochet, actually making things, but when sealing a tube I have to use 2 fingers. So if you're used to doing it, you're going to be much quicker than I am. So work your way in this style all the way down to the bottom where your tail is, and once you've caught those last 2 stitches, then you just pull your tails through and pull tight, and then you can remove your waste yarn. Once you've got right down to the bottom, hook your yarn tail over and pull it through the last stitch all the way like that. We've got a long one, remember, because we need that tail in order to stitch our headband together. And there's our first one done. So do exactly the same now the other side, seal the end of the tube up, then remove your waste yarn and we'll join back together then in order to put this ear warmer headband together. When completed and your waste yarn has been removed, you will end up with a slab of work like this. Now I've hidden my shorter tail in the work there, and I've got my long tail on a darning needle or tapestry needle ready to sew this headband or ear warmer together. And I forgot to show you, you'll have one length on your cast on side of yarn which you'll need to feed in through your stitches at the back and do a little knot in order to secure that. I forgot to film that little bit, okay, so apologies for that. So moving on, what we need to do is to fold our work in half lengthways like that. Doesn't matter which way we fold this one because there's no pattern on one side or the other, it's kind of interchangeable. And once it's folded in half like that lengthways, we're going to bring these two pieces together like that, all the way, all the way, all the way, like that. So we get like an interlocking C shape, okay? So you'll need to wiggle and arrange a little bit in order to get that sitting exactly where you want it to be. And we want it to be level across the top there, and that snugly in there, and that snugly in there if possible. And equal like that, or more or less. And what we're going to do then is we're going to take our yarn tail and we're going to start stitching across. I'm going to readjust slightly there and readjust slightly there, so I've got everything nice and snug. And what we're aiming to do is to catch the top of each of these stitches here as close to the edge as we can to minimize bulk. Okay, so I'm going to take my yarn to the outer edge there, so I can start right on the edge. And starting off, I'll probably only end up picking up a few of the layers, but we're going to aim as we work across to pick up every one of those little layers as we go across. Now you can over sew if you want, as in over like that, but I go back and forth, and then as I work my way through, I'm picking up all those stitches. And you can also double back again if you're unsure of your stitches, okay, just to make doubly sure. But you can also turn your work out before you trim off your long tail. I was concentrating then, I couldn't talk. So back and forth, picking up all of those layers there, right at the top, as close as you can get to the top of the work. So you'll end up with a very, very thin seam, as minimal as it can possibly be. To work your way all the way across to the other side, then feel free to turn out your work and double check that you're happy with it before cutting that tail off, because you can always touch up your stitches or even go over it again if you feel the need to. And pull those stitches in nice and tight. Like that. And I've got a few other headband or ear warmer videos in my playlist. There's a trailing ivy patterned one, and also my original winter waffle pattern, which has been ever so popular, one of my favourites, I have to say. So go check them out as well if you're starting to build your inventory ready for the Christmas fairs and markets and things. All I ask is that you consider giving a small donation to a local animal rescue centre if you're very successful at selling headbands and all your makes and using some of my patterns. That would be absolutely awesome of you to do that. So we're nearly at the end, and I'm more or less happy that my stitches will be as I want them, but I am always careful and always mindful of the fact that I could have gone wrong and just not noticed it. As I did when I was doing the pattern on this, I missed a few tuck stitches, so my stitches are a little bit loose on the edge. But as long as I've demonstrated how to do this pattern design, that's all the video is for really, because my mistakes are not going to be your mistakes. So that's a little bit tight there, but I'm going to leave it there for a second, and I'm going to turn my work out and do a double check to see how it's looking before I decide to finish off. And that's the design we are going for. Oh, that is just gorgeous. Look at that. Now you can take your stripies all the way into the centre if you wanted to. I quite like that fan design that comes from doing the 8 stitches in the corresponding red to start off. I quite like that because it gives a kind of a nice kind of geometrical shape in the center there. So now I'm happy with that. All I'm going to do is to finish off with a little knot inside there like that. I'm just going to catch that last little bit which seems to be hanging off on its own. So I'm going to do a knot, and these long lengths of yarn do snag on times. There we are, that's great. So I'm going to thread my yarn tail through there a little bit. That's a little bit of a scruffy job, but you feed yours in a little neater than I've done there, and then we'll call that job done. I'll snip that for now because it's a little bit long-winded to show you that. Let's just get on and show you the design. So there it is. Absolutely beautiful headband, and look at that. If I put it like that and show you, isn't that gorgeous? Look, it stretches out. Imagine that on your head now. Imagine all the colours you could do for Christmas. Christmassy colours for that. And you could do partly stripes, part not stripes. It's up to you. But I love that. I think that is really, really nice and really, really special. And I hope you like it too. So don't forget, hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It's free to do so, and it makes all the difference to my channel and being able to bring you these patterns to enjoy. Lovely to have you with me, and I hope to see you again very soon. And don't forget that donation to a local animal rescue centre near you. That would be very, very much appreciated. Thank you for spending time with me. I'll see you again very soon. Happy headbands. Bye for now. Hwyl fawr.